Welcome to this explainer. I'm really excited to have you here today because, honestly, we're looking at one of the most fascinating intersections of our time. We're going to connect the massive shifting tectonic plates of macro geopolitics happening right now in Washington directly to a highly targeted, micro-technological edge AI solution being deployed on the ground in Ontario. It's a pretty incredible story about how global trade friction is meeting local technological resilience head-on.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the post-CUSMA tariff war, look at Ontario's MSW export crisis, introduce the Sentient Bridge, break down the Pixel 10 Pro AI workflow, go over digital verification and compliance, and wrap up with the circular bioeconomy future.
So, first up, the post-CUSMA tariff war. To really understand the technology we're exploring today, we've got to look at the current year-to-date headline news trends. In February 2025, the U.S. administration under Donald Trump imposed near-universal 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. By March, Ontario Premier Doug Ford's administration retaliated with a 25% surcharge on energy exports to the U.S. Fast forward a bit to July 2026, and the U.S. formally declined the CSUMA, or USMCA, renewal deadline. This basically plunged the whole pact into a rolling 10-year review, creating just massive uncertainty for cross-border commerce.
That brings us to Section 2, Ontario's MSW export crisis.
You see, geopolitical tariffs have immediate, real-world physical consequences, and nowhere is that friction more obvious right now than in the vulnerable Ontario-Michigan Municipal Solid Waste, or MSW, corridor. Just take a look at that 14.35% slice on the chart. That's the percentage of all MSW disposals shipped across the border to U.S.-Michigan landfills directly from Ontario, Canada. I mean, that is a massive reliance on an increasingly hostile border just to manage daily commercial trash.
To put that percentage into perspective, let's look at the actual scale. 3.46 million. That is the tons of trash shipped from Ontario to Michigan annually. We're talking about 100,000 transport trucks making that journey south every single year. Literally, if you park them bumper to bumper, that's a line of garbage trucks stretching from Toronto all the way to Florida. When a trade war escalates, a pipeline of that size becomes an absolute crisis point.
And this specific trade corridor is buckling under extreme stress as we speak. Over on the Michigan side, lawmakers are proposing a huge hike in landfill tipping fees, from 36 cents up to $5 per ton, specifically to discourage out-of-state dumping. Meanwhile, Ontario is physically running out of domestic landfill capacity. They could literally exhaust their space by 2034. Domestic fees are already at a really steep $60 per ton under OREG 347. It is the perfect storm, right? Skyrocketing costs meeting closing borders.
Which perfectly tees up our third section, introducing the Sentient Bridge.
So, what do? How do you solve an insurmountable macro geopolitical crisis? Well, you pivot to an incredibly elegant micro-technological solution. And this brilliantly illustrates what the 905 Wood digital refinery is all about. We call it the Sentient Bridge. Instead of paying crazy transportation premiums and facing border tariffs to truck raw waste into Michigan, 905 Wood completely bypasses the political noise. It acts as a bridge, locally upcycling chaotic construction waste into the strict, high-purity requirements of the global biocarbon market.
All right, let's get into the tech. Section 4, the Pixel 10 Pro AI workflow.
How do you actually execute this kind of sorting in a chaotic, dusty, remote environment? The answer lies in this cutting-edge hardware and software stack. We are looking at the Google Pixel 10 Pro running the brand new Android 16 OS. But the real game changer here is the Google Light RT AI stack, which is optimized for the phone's local tensor processing unit. Because field operators are often working in remote intake yards with zero cellular connectivity, this stack allows for zero latency, completely offline edge processing.
Let's actually walk through the digital refinery application workflow UI/UX that an operator uses every day. Step 1, the operator just points the Pixel 10 Pro's camera at a pile of construction waste. Step 2, the LightArt AI features kick in and execute real-time offline semantic categorization. It instantly runs a 12-stage toxicity characteristic leaching procedure, or TCLP. In plain English, it's visually pre-screening for hazardous chemical leaks, checking moisture, and identifying wood species. Then, step 3, based on that visual data, the app dynamically generates a request for quote, calculating the processing costs right there on the device.
Moving right along to Section 5, Digital Verification and Compliance.
Now in a post-USMCA world plagued by USMCA tariffs, verifying the origin of your materials is everything.
The 905 Wood digital refinery app doesn't just scan wood, it automates massive compliance hurdles. To avoid those 10% global tariffs under CISMA's strict rules, this workflow automatically generates a certificate of origin. It even applies the exact HTS-US Global Customs Classification Code for clean biocarbon feedstocks. It's essentially securing a tariff-exempt status right from the dirt of the intake yard.
And to ensure this data is universally accepted, the digital refinery application workflow outputs a completely tamper-proof PDF documentation file. What's really cool is that it embeds an offline SHA-256 cryptographic hash into the PDF metadata. You can think of it as an unbreakable digital fingerprint of the original on-device scan. If a U.S. Customs border agent or a municipal auditor ever requests verification, this file guarantees a perfect, immutable chain of custody. No lost paperwork, just absolute cryptographic certainty.
Finally, Section 6, the circular bioeconomy future.
So, what does this all mean for us? The crucial point here is how this local technology completely redefines the macroeconomy. The old strategy of cross-border MSW export carries insanely high geopolitical risk from tariffs, massive trucking emissions, and basically leaves municipalities holding a giant liability. But looking at the 905 Wood digital refinery strategy, that geopolitical risk literally drops to zero through domestic processing. Most importantly, you convert a massive waste liability into high-purity biocarbon, a premium green commodity. By operationalizing this tech, 905 Wood actually secures Ontario's industrial leadership in the global circular bioeconomy without relying on fragile global supply chains.
This transformation brings us to a really powerful conclusion. I absolutely love how our source material puts this. By putting the power of the Google Pixel 10 Pro and the LightArt AI stack directly into the hands of field operators, 95 Wood is literally engineering Ontario's economic sovereignty in a post-USMCA world. It is just an incredible testament to how local innovation can completely outmaneuver macroeconomic trade instability. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. In a deglobalizing, tariff-heavy world, how else might on-device AI be used as a sentient bridge to secure economic sovereignty for other industries? We've just seen exactly how it can solve a 3.46 million-ton trash crisis by outsmarting a trade war. The possibilities for edge AI are really just beginning. Keep looking for the tech that bridges the chaos. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.